We are Georgia and David. We quit our jobs to travel full-time around Mexico with our 14-year-old Sheltie Poo Meep. Our goal is to take a picture with her in front of 100 Pueblo signs.
Stay tuned to the end for our Airbnb tour, top recommendations, as well as our final tally for cost of living. This morning we're on a mission to try tacos envenenados.
Poison tacos.
That is the literal translation. This is a famous food here in Zacatecas, and some say it's because miners took the tacos down with them, and then the toxic powders from the mine eventually poisoned the miners. Others say it was just a clever taco salesman who named them that. But we're gonna try two different places and see what we think. So we got a sencilla, which you can see here is like mashed potatoes with maybe chorizo or maybe just salsa, but it's definitely very flavorful, and the outside is super crispy. And then here, this is the beefsteak and cheese, so steak and cheese, and it is super well seasoned and also extremely crispy. So we are getting ready to try our second version of tacos envenenados. The first ones were excellent. You could taste the potato and bean and chorizo and chili. Really delicious. A lot better than I had expected. I don't know, a taco that was just fried tortilla filled with some beans didn't sound so great, but that guy made them delicious. So let's go see how these are. So, final conclusion from this morning's taco sampling. The first location, the tacos were very flavorful and they were not spicy at all. The second location, they were also very flavorful, perhaps more flavorful,
more spicy.
but they were spicy. They were probably like a medium to like medium hot spicy. So if you don't like spicy things, I would recommend the first location. If you do like some heat, then I would definitely recommend the second location.
I like the second location a little bit better. It was also a hair cheaper. And speaking of hair, I got a haircut. And it's not good.
On the bright side, it was only 100 pesos, which is $5. On the downside, David's not in love with it. But hey, hair grows, so moving on. Right now, we're getting ready to take Meep downtown. There is a restaurant, La Leyenda, that is very popular, and it seems like they might be dog friendly, so we're going to try, and if we can't get her in there, then we'll go to Acropolis, which is another popular restaurant here in Zacatecas that we know for a fact is dog friendly.
La Leyenda allowed Meep inside. The entire restaurant is covered in different pieces of Mexican artwork. We enjoyed our meal. George's asado de boda was the winner. The version of the vampiro was quite tasty, and the arroz con leche empanadas were a great way to end the meal.
Today our plan is to visit the churches in the main Centro area of Zacatecas. In last week's video, we visited the prettiest church in Zacatecas, which is up on the hill. Our last stop was the ex Templo de San Agustin. It has been turned into a temporary art exhibit for the artist Pedro Coronel. His paintings are really beautiful, and the setting made it so much more spectacular. After enjoying an excellent steak dinner at Garufa, we decided to walk around the Centro area of Zacatecas with Meep in tow. At night, it is absolutely gorgeous. We've visited San Miguel de Allende and Guanajuato, and I have to say, Zacatecas has my heart. I think it is the most beautiful city, especially at night. So some of you may find this interesting and some of you may find this completely boring. Today we are getting ready to go to the mall. Through the course of the past 3 months, we've been traveling with a very small set of clothing. Yeah. And for me, I've realized that a couple of the dresses I have just get permanently wrinkled. One of them's been hanging up in the closet for 2 weeks and it's still wrinkled. And then another piece of clothing has gotten too baggy. Since December, I've lost about 17 pounds, which isn't a ton, but it's definitely enough to change the way things fit. So hopefully today I can find 2 new dresses so that way I can get rid of those 3 and have more useful wardrobe. We'll see what kind of stores they have. We'll try to show you around a little bit. I know that mall security can frown upon video recording in Mexico. We've seen other YouTubers get kicked out or told to put their cameras away. So we'll grab what we can, and hopefully we'll have a fun day of shopping.
Hopefully.
So we just got back from our trip to the mall, and it was a successful one. I ended up getting 2 dresses at Liverpool.
After trying on about a dozen.
Maybe not that many, but Liverpool as well as Sears both had some really good options. There were a lot of brands that I'm not familiar with, but there were a lot of sizes available. I've heard that it's harder to find larger sizes in Mexico, and I'm a US 12-14. They had tons of options in my size, and I saw sizes up to 22, so lots of options. The 2 dresses cost me a total of about $118, so a little less than $60 each, which is about what I'd pay for a nice dress in the US.
We also grabbed something to eat while we were there at a restaurant called Pistones. It's an American-themed restaurant. We got some wings, which were actually on par, if not better, than most wing restaurants we have back in North Carolina. We also got a hamburger, which was pretty decent for Mexico.
Yeah, overall it was a great experience. We enjoyed our day at the mall, and I'm just happy that shopping wasn't more frustrating than it is in the US, because I kind of read that on some of the expat site, and that just wasn't the case, at least for me.
And you can find pretty much anything here that you can find back in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, if you're very particular about getting a certain brand, then you may not be able to find it, but if you're flexible on brand, you can find anything that you're looking for. So we just finished up breakfast or brunch. It was quite delicious. We enjoyed chilaquiles as well as some churros and some hot chocolate. Highly recommend.
Next, we headed over to the Museo Pedro Coronel. It houses the art collection of this Zacatecano painter. It was a nice museum, but if you're pressed for time, I would skip this one. Afterwards, we drove over to Los Caramelos. This wasn't our only visit, but every time we were too busy eating the delicious creations of grilled meat and cheese that we forgot to record any video.
I had seen a YouTube video about this area online, and they mentioned that right outside of Guadalupe there was a group of structures. And apparently these structures at one point had been used to store grain, and then they became a hotel. We just drove around. It looks like all the gates are closed, so it doesn't look like we can check them out any closer, but the cones behind us are pretty darn cool. Meep, was it worth the drive? She says if we get food, it was worth it.
Unfortunately, the weather didn't cooperate, so we had to drop Meep at home before heading out to dinner. We stopped at Gran Sonora. Their cocktails are always spot on, and the food was amazing.
So, we arrived during rainy season, and we were very lucky that the first couple weeks that we were here, there was very little rain. But basically, for the past week, every day, around 5 or 6, it has started raining, and as you can see, it rains pretty intensely. So one thing that we were planning on doing was going to the El Eden Mine Club, which is only open on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. It is the only nightclub in a mine in the world, but unfortunately that is going to have to wait for another trip because we don't want to be walking outside and waiting for Ubers in this kind of downpour rain. So when you first come in from the street, you can see we have garage there, Jeep there, some great green space for Meep. There's a little door you come through. And if you come up here through this little covered entryway and you go back through this gate, there's a washer and then there's some lines for hanging your clothes. And then if you come through the front door, there's this nice little entryway. You can take off your shoes and hang your coats. In this room here, we set up our workout bench and our weights, and it was great because it stayed very cool. So it was a good workout room for us. And then let me take you upstairs. So when you come up the stairs, if you turn to the left and down this little hall is the kitchen, which you can see has lots of space, a big refrigerator, little table, big stove. And then if you come through the kitchen, this is the dining room, living room, which you can see is very large. And the best thing about it are these giant windows. We have a great view of La Bufa. Then through the living room, we're kind of back at the top of the stairs here. And if you go straight through here, this is the master bedroom, which you can see has a nice big king size bed, lots of closet space there. And while this looks like more closet space, not all of it is. Here we have the master bathroom, which has a shower. And of course was much cleaner when we arrived a month ago. And then through this doorway is another bedroom, a third bedroom here, and then this bedroom I used to do my makeup. So there's my little vanity table, which I enjoyed having. And lastly, there is another full bath right here. This is more of like a wet room style. But you can see there, a little shower and sink.
For a fancy dinner out, we highly suggest Grand Sonora Grill. For a mid-range option, try Milk Brew Pub, which has great outdoor seating and is dog-friendly. If you just want some really good food at a great price, check out Birreria, El Cabrito, Tosca, and or Los Caramelos. For a good cocktail, check out La Casona Bar, or if you want to try some of the local mezcals, stop by La Casa Mezcalera. Both options have rooftop seating. The views from La Casona are a little better, but La Mezcalera isn't quite as loud most of the time. Our favorite things to do were the zip line, the cable car over Zacatecas, and El Eden Mine. See our things to do in Zacatecas video for all the fun at the top of the bufa. If you don't have a lot of time in Zacatecas and can't hit every museum, don't miss Museo de Arte Abstracto for the huge paintings, and Museo Rafael Coronel for all the cool masks. If you can understand a little Spanish and have a darker streak, do the tour at Museo La Casa de Inquisidor. For a sneak peek before you go, check out last week's video. Our favorite day trips were San Jose de Gracia for the amazing Mirador restaurant and the gigantic Cristo Roto statue, and La Quemada for the beautiful ruins, views, and the exercise. We made videos covering those as well.
And now the moment you've been waiting for, our final expenses. That beautiful Airbnb set us back $1,858 for 28 nights. Transportation, including gas and tolls, as well as a couple taxis, was $255. Entertainment came in at $120. We spent $474 at bars. We just couldn't resist the cheap drinks in Zacatecas. We found cocktails as cheap as 35 pesos. At restaurants, we spent a whopping $1,653. It's not because food was expensive in Zacatecas, quite the contrary. It was because I didn't cook at all. As you can see in our grocery tally, I only spent $209 at the grocery store, and that includes things like shampoo, toilet paper, water, and coffee. Utilities totaled $20, which was a Telcel recharge for both of us. Personal care was $186, which includes my 2 new dresses. And that grand total is $4,775, or $171 per day. Compare that to the $207 we spent a day in San Miguel and the $127 a day in Saltillo. If you liked this video or found it helpful, please like and subscribe, and of course leave any comments or questions down below.